Many of us are very familiar with the Bible story of David and Goliath. Even if you're not, many of us all know the common story trope of believing in an underdog and the underdog eventually prevailing. David and Goliath is an Old Testament Bible story depicting a classic good versus evil, with David being a member of the Israelites and Goliath being a member of the Philistines. These warring states were at a constant battle for territory, with the Philistines being a stronger and more powerful nation. Now, despite Goliath being bigger and stronger physically than all the other soldiers from the Israelites, David decided to stand up against the giant. Even though Goliath had more battle experience, more strength, and more power, David had something very special on his side, which was God. And in the end, he used the rock and sling to hit Goliath in the head, knocking him out, which cost him the battle and allowed David to cut his head off and win the battle. This story being so old and classic, it has inspired many different artworks over the years. The two that I will be focusing on today will be Donatello's David versus Michelangelo's David. I will be discussing the differences between these two images, as well as the intertwining and connection of the themes and meanings behind these images. Starting in chronological order, we have Donatello's David. It was created in the late 1420s to the 1460s. It was done through bronze casting and now resides in Florence. The sculpture depicts David in a more elegant way, given his smooth and fluid posture. He's seen sporting a contrapposto stance, which was very popular during the Renaissance, in where they put all the weight on one foot rather than both feet to give sculptures more of a natural pose. This wasn't just done in sculptures, it was also very prominent in paintings as well. In this we see a more younger looking David sporting a hat along with boots, stepping on the head of Goliath, his enemy. Despite being stronger, the underdog David is the one who eventually prevails and goes against the stronger power, which ironically mirrored the scenario that Florence was in during this time period and in the future as well. This art piece was commissioned by the Medici family, which were a very popular group of people during this era. They commissioned many different famous art pieces during the Renaissance. They had a lot of power due to their large sources of income. The Medici's ever-growing power eventually led them to take a more tyrannical position in society. This eventually led to the Medici's being run out of the city to be then replaced with a new ruler, which leads into the next art piece. Michelangelo's version of David is a lot more different compared to Donatello's, given the visual representation of him. The sculpture is a lot larger, being 17 feet tall and made out of marble instead of bronze. Michelangelo's David was created from 1501 to 1504. In this image, he is not seen with the head of Goliath, and he is only shown with the rock and sling in his possession. Despite these differences, these two art pieces managed to intertwine with each other, given the different visual aspects and meanings behind these images. Both images of David are seen in a contrapposto stance, as well as both of them residing in Florence. Michelangelo does a great job at capturing the emotions that David is feeling. He's confident yet concerned about the results of this battle. However, like any good underdog story, David finishes triumphant. And like Donatello's sculpture of David, Michelangelo's also mirrored the events that were occurring in Florence as well. Just after the Medici's, they then had to worry about a new radical ruler named Savonarola, who not only became excommunicated and arrested, but also sent to burn to death. So as you can see, the city of Florence, and not only them, but many other people are able to use the story of David still to this day to place themselves in the shoes of David as the underdog, the one who's fighting against a stronger power and eventually prevailing to win their own internal or external battles.